If you or somebody you know is struggling with their iman, with their belief in relation to Islam, this video is for you. Sometimes people reach out to me and they express that they want to be a good Muslim, or at one point in their life, they felt like they were a better Muslim, but now they're struggling. They have these doubts and they don't know how to overcome them. And sometimes it's a very dire situation where they're in a state of panic, like, please, like, what's happening to me? Help me. And when I investigate and I ask them questions and I try to figure out where these issues are stemming from, it's a very simple situation if we understand how our iman works and we just evaluate our lifestyles. And I have a very clear example. When somebody doesn't feel well and they go to a doctor and they say, I feel bad all the time. I'm always sick. I'm always tired. And the doctor asks them, well, what do you do every day? And the patient says, well, first thing I do in the morning is I start smoking cigarettes. I smoke cigarettes all day. I eat a bunch of unhealthy food. And I just sit down. I don't move around. I don't exercise. Then what's the doctor going to say? Well, the bad news is you've been doing things to your body that are harmful. However, the good news is there's a pretty simple solution. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. And that is you need to stop smoking. You need to start eating healthy, and you need to start exercising. Now, does that mean it's going to be very easy for that person to do those things? Not necessarily. It might be difficult for them to give up smoking and to start eating healthy and to start exercising. But we can at least acknowledge that we have enough information about how health works that is something that they need to do. And because they've been unhealthy for such a period of time, it might take a while. They have to be consistent, step by step, over a certain period of time to really start feeling better and noticing the changes. Now, when it comes to Iman, we have a similar example. We have knowledge about what Iman is, how to have high Iman, and what makes one's Iman low. So Iman, it consists of the heart, tongue, and limbs. It increases with obedience to Allah, with good deeds, and it decreases with disobedience to Allah, with bad deeds. If we just wrap our heads around that and we just evaluate our lives and we ask ourselves, okay, well, how do I act every day? What am I doing every day that is causing my Iman to go up? Versus what am I doing every day to cause my Iman to go down? And unfortunately, some people are in a situation where perhaps their Iman is going down because they think they're doing things that are good. They might think that they're doing things that are supposed to make their Iman go up, but it's the opposite. So for example, if people are out and about, they're around bad company all day, they're watching things and listening to things that are not pleasing to Allah, they should understand that it's going to make their Iman go down. But let's say they say, okay, well, I want to do something that's going to make my Iman go up. I need some sort of Islamic reminders. What do many people do nowadays? What is a lot of what gets the most views, the most attention online? It's debating, it's arguing. It's basically somebody talking trash about Islam, misrepresenting it, bringing a bunch of doubts about it, slandering it. And then you have a Muslim basically going back and forth with them. SubhanAllah. Many people have been led to believe this is what da'wah is, this is what seeking knowledge is, this is the sort of thing that's actually going to make my Iman go up. Now, just to be clear, so there's no misunderstanding, I'm not saying that there is no place in Islam or da'wah or internet online discourse for going back and forth, for addressing certain doubts. However, I think that what we see today and where things have reached, it is so extreme. It is so way far beyond the bounds of what is beneficial. And let's just think about it for a minute, because let's say that you have somebody, they're a student of knowledge, they study their religion, and they are interacting with non-Muslims who maybe they have certain preconceived ideas, but they're genuine, they're sincere, and then they have, some dialogue. Okay, well, that's it. In that case, inshallah, it's good for that student of knowledge to convey the message of Islam to them and try to address any issues that they have. And we ask that Allah guide all of us, guide them and guide us all, and keep us firm on the straight path. However, because there's this entertainment aspect to it, where you get views, where you get attention, where I don't know, people enjoy that sort of back and forth. Now it is intentionally a matter of debating and going back and forth and challenging each other. So what ends up happening is it just a bunch of non-Muslims, okay, yeah, I have these doubts in my head, I need them addressed, and then maybe I'll consider Islam. Sometimes, but I think probably the vast majority of people watching a lot of these videos, they're Muslims. They are Muslims themselves. So what ends up happening? Yes, they might be rooting for Islam. They might want the Muslim to refute whatever doubt is being brought up. But what ends up happening is that they themselves have never really sought knowledge. They don't really have a strong foundation of iman themselves when it comes to the deen and knowledge of the deen. And then they're exposed to a bunch of doubts. And maybe they like it to hear like the Muslim, okay, maybe the Muslim will address it here and there. But this is something that I'm speaking from experience, talking to different people who have been affected by these things. It ends up really hurting their iman. They really do not benefit from it in the long term. Again, maybe they get a rush because it's entertaining, but they at the end of the day, they don't know what they're saying when they pray, right? They don't even know what they're saying when they pray. Now they have been exposed to a bunch of things about a bunch of people, bringing up this hadith, like making everything about a particular hadith that is meant to cast doubt. And that's what the person thinks about, rather than what the Prophet ﷺ, when he was teaching the Sahaba, or when a scholar is teaching a student of knowledge, there are certain priorities, there's certain foundational things that they focus on and they build from there. But everything is all out of whack. There's no sort of structure because it has become this sort of entertainment where it's just everything's all out of whack. And it's this emotional roller coaster of like back and forth. And it's destroying people's iman. It's destroying it. And subhanAllah, they've been led to believe that, no, this is actually da'wah. This is actually, benefiting me. And one of the reasons is because you also have the non-Muslims, and some of the Muslims themselves have been influenced by, trying so hard to impress the non-Muslims, trying just so hard, right? They act like they are way above them and they're so much smarter. But you can see that they follow in the footsteps of them. And everything that they do seems to want their approval. Because a lot of the non-Muslims, or Islamophobes will say, when you say, look, I'm not going to argue with you, I don't want to be exposed to all of your nonsense. I believe in my religion. I'm going to focus on my religion, and I'm not going to go back and forth with you. What do they say? Oh, you can't handle it. You can't go back and forth. Islam can't intellectually deal with these arguments. You know what that's like saying? That's like saying, oh, you want to stop smoking? You want to start eating healthy, and you want to start exercising? What, you're so weak that you can't smoke a bunch of cigarettes and sit around all day and eat a bunch of junk food and still be healthy and strong and have this, incredible physique? It makes no sense, because we know what? We know that that's not how health works. Similarly, that's not how iman works. All right, iman does not work by you sitting there intellectually going through every single argument and doubt about something and going back and forth. That's not how your iman works. That sort of situation is not what Allah has told us is going to make our iman increase. What we need to do is we need to worship Allah alone, and we need to follow the example of the Prophet ﷺ. And there are certain things that we were told to do in terms of our daily lives, very simple things when it comes to praying, when it comes to who and what we surround ourselves with, what we expose ourselves to. And it can be actually very detrimental, and it can be very sinful to expose yourself and engage with a bunch of content where Allah is being slandered, where the Prophet ﷺ is being slandered, and you're arguing back, and this is what you're watching. Now, the people I'm talking to specifically in this video, they're Muslims. They're people who already believe in Islam. So if there are any non-Muslims watching this and they're like, oh, well, I have certain things that I need, what Islam can't intellectually deal with them. If you're sincere, then I'm sure that there are Muslims that would be happy to answer your questions, because everything when it comes to Islam can be addressed, can be answered. Every single doubt can be responded to. However, the Muslims are damaging their own iman by busying themselves with things that are just going to not benefit them. And that's the issue, and that's what we're seeing. If you already know that Islam is the truth, you already know that, you've already embraced Islam, then you should also understand that it's Allah who guides whom He pleases. And it's not that there's going to be this intellectual argument, this intellectual statement or debate that's going to be had where everyone is just going to be convinced of Islam. That's not how iman works. That's not how guidance works. Otherwise, the prophets, peace be upon all of them, they would have guided their entire nations.